First Men in the Moon was the first science fiction movie I saw in a movie theater. Is this in any way significant? Well, not really, except for two things that made it special. First Men in the Moon is the only Ray Harryhausen movie that was shot in the widescreen aspect ratio of 2:3:5. The Loews 175th Street Theater, where I actually saw the movie, was then and still is today one of the largest indoor venues in all of New York City. So, on that giant screen, in that giant movie theater, those two elements combined to create an epic sense of wonder within me that I wouldn't feel again until 4 years later when Stanley Kubrick released 2001: A Space Odyssey. Now I know that Jason and the Argonauts is considered Ray Harryhausen's masterpiece, and I wouldn't argue the point. But I like First Men in the Moon. British actor Edward Judd is cast in the lead. I had liked his work in the previous The Day the Earth Caught Fire, but here his characterization is annoying and not heroic. American actress Martha Hyer, yes, that's right, despite the title, she gets to go to the moon, is, well, Martha Hyer, and all the better for it. But it's the great British character actor Lionel Jeffries who steals the show. Now, it must be said that despite establishing a very clever bookending framework for the narrative, the first act is a little slow and pokey with over-the-top characterizations. But once they get to the moon, the film takes off with a series of great-looking set pieces. My favorite is near the end when Lionel Jeffries has to explain the concept of war to the King of the Moon Men. That's right, the King of the Moon Men. But it's a great scene, and it even manages to convey some of H.G. Wells' own thoughts on this matter, although in a simplified way. Now, 30 years later in Los Angeles, I was dating a woman who worked at the Disney Studios. At the time, she was working in their brand new animation building nicknamed the Tomahawk for its swept-back design. I had also recently had some minor successes with a few screenwriting deals, and one of the first things I purchased was First Men in the Moon on Laserdisc. Back then, that was the only format that showed films in their proper aspect ratio. The day I bought the disc, we had made arrangements to meet for lunch, but as usual, she was swamped with work, so instead, she escorted me into the building's brand new state-of-the-art screening room, showed me how to work the controls, and then went back to her office. And I sat down to watch my Laserdisc. I'm sitting there all alone in this magnificent screening room until Roy Disney walks in. Now, this Roy Disney was the nephew of Walt Disney and the senior executive on the lot. And he walks over, sits down next to me and says, "So, what are we watching?" And I said, First Men in the Moon. He said, "Really? That's a good one." I said, "I know, right?" And it kind of went on like that for a few minutes until he said, "Well, back to work," and he got up and left. And that's one of the reasons I love this town. Where else are you going to have moments like that? So thank you, Ray Harryhausen, for all you gave us. And thank you, Teresa Benz, for all you gave me. See you around the campus.